You're sitting at home on your laptop, scrolling through a travel website, desperately searching for a cheap flight to visit your family. You find an incredible deal. A major airline is advertising a cross-country flight for just $49. $49. Your heart jumps with excitement. You immediately click the booking button. You enter your personal information. You select your departure date. You choose your destination. You are one click away from completing the purchase when something strange happens. The price suddenly explodes. That $49 flight has mysteriously transformed into a $300 nightmare. Baggage fees, seat selection fees, carry-on fees, change fees, cancellation insurance, credit card processing fees, facility charges, airport taxes that seem to multiply like rabbits. By the time you reach the final checkout screen, you're staring at a bill that is more than 6 times the advertised price, and you have absolutely no idea where most of that money is actually going. You have just fallen victim to one of the most brilliantly executed, psychologically manipulative pricing schemes in modern commerce. Welcome to the hidden empire of airline pricing, where the actual cost of your flight is deliberately disguised, fragmented across dozens of hidden fees, and scientifically engineered to trap you into paying far more than you ever intended. To understand how this perfectly legal con artist operation actually works, you have to understand a fundamental truth about the modern airline industry. Airlines are not in the business of transporting people. They are in the business of psychological price discrimination. They're not trying to get you from point A to point B at the lowest possible cost. They're trying to extract the maximum amount of money from each individual passenger based on how desperately they need to fly, how much time they have to book, and how much their specific situation makes them vulnerable to hidden charges. This entire business model was born from corporate desperation and federal deregulation. For decades, the airline industry was heavily regulated by the government. Routes were controlled. Prices were standardized. Airlines had to offer consistent service. But in 1978, the United States federal government passed the Airline Deregulation Act, thinking it would create more competition and lower prices for consumers. What actually happened was the complete opposite. The deregulation opened the floodgates for the biggest, most predatory airlines to consolidate the market, eliminate smaller competitors, and rake in record profits while systematically gutting the quality of service. Airlines suddenly realized they could advertise impossibly low base fares to attract customers, then extract massive profits by charging separate fees for things that used to be included in the ticket price. It was a revolutionary discovery. The base fare became completely meaningless. The real money machine was the ancillary fees. So they started charging for everything. Baggage became a fee. Seat selection became a fee. Choosing your seat ahead of time became a fee. Printing your boarding pass became a fee. Bringing a carry-on bag became a fee. Choosing a seat near the front became a fee. Choosing a seat with extra legroom became a fee. Even choosing not to buy anything became a fee in the form of junk charges that suddenly appear on your bill. Today, the airline industry generates more than $50 billion annually from ancillary fees alone. That is not from actually flying planes and transporting people. That is purely from fees. Checked baggage fees, carry-on fees, seat assignment fees, standby fees, change fees, cancellation fees, pet fees, unaccompanied minor fees, sports equipment fees, overweight bag fees. It is a bewildering, deliberately confusing maze of hidden charges designed to make it impossible for you to understand what you are actually paying for. And the psychological brilliance of this system lies in one simple deception. The advertised price is a complete and total lie. When you see a flight advertised for $49 on your computer screen, that airline knows with absolute certainty that you will never actually pay $49. They know you will check a bag. They know you want to pick your seat. They know you will probably want to add travel insurance. They are advertising that $49 price not because it is an honest representation of the true cost. They are advertising it because psychologically, that low number will catch your eye, pull you into the booking funnel, and make you feel like you're getting a great deal. This is called loss leader pricing, and it is a trap. The actual average airline ticket, once you add in all the mandatory and near-mandatory fees, costs between $200 and $300. But that number never appears in the advertisement. Instead, the airline relies on what behavioral psychologists call the anchoring effect. You see that low number first. Your brain anchors to it. When you discover the true price later, it feels less shocking because your mind has already accepted that low starting number as the baseline. By the time you reach the final checkout screen, your brain has already been psychologically conditioned to accept whatever the final bill says. And here is where the true darkness of this system emerges. Airlines specifically engineer the checkout process to make it nearly impossible to avoid fees. When you select your flight, the system automatically pre-checks boxes for baggage protection, seat selection, and travel insurance. If you do not actively uncheck those boxes, you are paying for them whether you want them or not. When you try to cancel a flight, the cancellation button is deliberately hidden or made intentionally difficult to find, while a button to purchase cancellation insurance is prominently displayed. It is what technology companies call dark pattern design, and it is specifically engineered to exploit human psychology and extract money from distracted, tired travelers. The airline industry has turned the entire booking process into a psychological gauntlet designed to extract maximum revenue from desperate, time-constrained customers who have very few alternatives. If you need to fly from New York to Los Angeles next week, you cannot simply drive. You cannot take a boat. Your choices are effectively limited to 3 or 4 massive airlines that control the majority of routes in the country. And those airlines know this. They know you are trapped. They know you have no real alternative. So they charge you accordingly. They charge you a base fare that is completely disconnected from the actual service you are receiving. They charge you fees for things that used to be included. They charge you psychological premium prices for seats with slightly more legroom. They charge you fees to change your plans when their own schedules become unreliable. They charge you fees to cancel when they themselves have overbooked flights and bump you involuntarily. It is a perfect economic trap, a captive market, a confusing fee structure, and sophisticated psychological manipulation, all designed to maximize extraction from every single passenger. And the most brilliant part of this entire scheme is that it is completely legal. Regulatory agencies have essentially given the airline industry a blank check to charge whatever hidden fees they want, as long as they technically disclose them somewhere in tiny print on their website. The system is rigged, the game is fixed, and you're the product being systematically exploited. So the very next time you sit down at your computer to book a flight and you see an impossibly cheap price flashing on your screen, take a deep breath and understand exactly what you are looking at. You're not looking at the actual price of your ticket. You're looking at the bait. You are looking at a deliberate psychological trap designed by engineers and psychologists to lure you into a booking funnel where hidden fees will multiply like a financial virus. You are looking at one of the most sophisticated, legally protected, systematically exploitative pricing systems ever constructed. It is a masterclass in psychological manipulation, deceptive advertising, and the ruthless extraction of money from trapped, desperate consumers who have no real alternative. And speaking of industries that trap you with hidden psychology and charge you astronomical fees, let's talk about the subscription economy machine. Netflix, Spotify, gym memberships, Adobe software, all designed with invisible auto-renewal, buried cancellation buttons, and psychological pricing to keep you locked in forever, draining your account month after month for services you forgot you were paying for. Companies deliberately make it hard to cancel because they know that inertia and laziness will extract billions from trapped subscribers who simply give up trying to leave. And speaking of systems that exploit human desperation and basic needs for maximum profit, in the next video, we are going to expose the pharmaceutical industry's most sinister money machine. A system where corporations charge 500, 1,000, or even 10,000% markups on life-saving medications, trapping desperate patients in an impossible choice between their health and their financial survival. The true cost of corporate greed in healthcare will break your heart. If you want to keep exposing these hidden money machines, hit that subscribe button right now. Join the community, turn on the notification bell, and buckle up, because the rabbit hole only gets deeper from here.